trying to load.
Yeah, I just realized how crooked my nose is.
It's
like, no matter where you are, it's like a painting in a haunted house. No matter where you are, it's pointing at you.
All right, we're live. We're on. Okay, hey, welcome to the How Does That Happen podcast. The podcast about unusual record holders, wannabe record holders, and should be record holders. Very excited for our episode 18 to have my first return guest. Okay, not that I'm running out of guests. We have the world's record-holding frequent flyer traveler coming on the show in the next couple of weeks, as well as a lady that went through the mouth of the shark out there near San Luis Obispo about a month ago. So another should be record holder. But we do have a repeat guest. This guy was kind enough, good friend of mine, comedy buddy, was kind enough to do our episode 1 test run. Jim Fleming, flip phone. Look at that dinosaur. Ladies, he's single, go figure. Jim did that episode about a year and a half ago, and here we are, handfuls of fans later. We're back with episode 18, and Jim is back with an even better. You think the flip phone went well? You wait till you hear this. This is some craziness. He's going to talk about his time as a hired Craigslist Taliban fighter for the United States Department of Defense when we were waging jihad against Osama bin Laden and his people in Afghanistan. So welcome to the show, comedian, raconteur, buddy, all around good guy, Jim Fleming. Jim, welcome to How Does That Happen? Great to have you back.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Podcast. Happy to be back. Just an update. I still have the same flip phone. It's now like 12 years old, and it has like 19 numbers in it.
And is your internet connection also 12 years old? Because it's like you're on dial-up right now.
Oh, am I going in and out?
No, you're kind of like if you were maybe like at the International Space Station. There's just that little lag. I just give you grief. I appreciate you being on the show, but we gotta entertain the people. So I have to harass my guest a little bit. But yeah, so we've known each other for probably 10, 12 years now. And Jim, we were working, I think, in Idaho or somewhere, and somehow this story.
06.
Yeah, somehow the story came up, and you told me, oh, hey, did I say about the time I was hired as an extra, like a Taliban person, because we were training the U.S. troops and at the air state. So Jim's going to talk about his time as a, what do you call yourself? Mujahideen for hire? A terrorist for rent? What would be the terminology? I mean, how
right.
So basically
which I still am, by the way.
What's that?
I'm substitute Taliban, hired gun, mercenary, all those things apply. And the going rate is $15 an hour, though.
But this is in what year?
I first got that gig. I was living at home.
What year?
This was in 2006. 2006.
Were you in the basement?
So we were in Afghanistan.
Yes.
Oh shoot! Okay. Now it's cutting out really bad.
You're fine.
I'm gonna see. Oh, okay. So I was in
chop through it.
Okay. I was going to grad school at University of Nevada. I was living at home with my parents. I was pretty jobless, and I was substitute teaching in my little hometown, Fallon, Nevada, for money here and there. And that pays about $100 a day, substitute teaching. I signed up with Manpower, a temp agency, and one day I got a very strange phone call, because they'd call every once in a while. They'd say, hey, you want $7 an hour to go like pick weeds in the park. And I'd be like, of course I do. I usually do that. That's a good weekend for me. That's like $7 an hour in 2000 for me was pretty good. And I got this one night. She says, we've got a temp job coming up through the Navy base, and it pays $15 an hour. And I was like, I don't need to know anything more. Now it's 2020, and like all the warehouses start at like 18, but at the time 15 was a big deal. And she said, first of all, do you own any comfortable hiking shoes? I was like, oh shit, where is this going? She says, it's kind of a weird gig. You're going to walk around in the desert and some people are going to find you. That's like how she described this temp gig. She's like, yeah, you're going to be in the desert and people are going to kind of like hunt you down. And I was like,
there were people that were armed in uniform, training to kill.
Oh yeah. She didn't get to that part. It just sounded like she was offering me $15 an hour to play the most dangerous game. I'm going to be hunted for sport. And it turned out that Marines would come through this Navy base outside of Fallon, Nevada. There's a naval air station in the desert outside my town. And they just go bomb the shit out of the desert. No one really notices. Nobody lives there. And it turns out that no place outside of Afghanistan looks more like Afghanistan than like the outskirts of Fallon, Nevada. Like if you looked at pictures of both, it's exactly the same. I think like same number of caves, like same vegetation, which is almost none.
There's caves in the Fallon area?
Yeah. Mostly mining related.
Okay.
But yeah, there's caves outside of Fallon where you still see like hieroglyphic drawings from the Paiute and Shoshone tribes that used to live around there.
10,000 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they
yeah.
blowing up? I hope they're not blowing up the tribal artifacts from way back when. Who knows, you know?
They probably are because they do a lot of bombing out there. And there's nothing to really catch on fire, so nobody really notices. And for your fans who are outside of Nevada, the federal government owns like 80% of Nevada. It's a weird situation. It's like a lot of Bureau of Land Management and like Nellis Air Force Base by itself is bigger than like half the states in the U.S. Anyway, so she says they're training some Marines to go to Afghanistan. So they're getting used to the terrain. They're going to roll around in Humvees, and you're going to be working for this contractor that hires local people to like play act as opposing force. In this case, opposing force is Afghan Taliban.
At what point did she release all this information after the comfortable hiking shoes? Was that in the same conversation? After you said, yeah, I'm in, and then she
yeah, it was later. When I showed up,
now we'll tell you what's happening.
Yeah. I didn't have any of the details. She just said it's going to be a military training operation. You're going to walk around the desert. That's much it. And she was like, show up at 6 a.m. The following Monday. And I did show up at 6 a.m. It was like me and a bunch of high school dropouts and then some people who were like too old to work at Walmart. It was like, because these are
there's an age limit at Walmart.
Not to besmirch my hometown, but like it's kind of slim pickings for the labor market. Yeah, it was a rough looking bunch.
Were there any walkers and hover-rounds out there?
No, it wasn't that bad.
You had to be fairly.
Yeah. And we show up and they hand us all like these 10-yard, not 10 yards, but 2-yard lengths of fabric. And they're like, all right, tie yourself a turban. We're going to get you dressed. I didn't realize that this involved like costumes.
Well, I was going to
So
ask
like we didn't just wear like an orange hunting vest. Like, hey, people in.
So it wasn't provide your own costume. They bought the.
Say again.
It wasn't bring your own costume. They provided the Muslim fabric. No pun intended, or I guess pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah, Muslim, yeah. And like ammo vests they give us, and like the first thing I noticed is that everyone knew how to tie a turban except for me. I was like, how does this work? I just wrapped it around my head like I was the guy playing the drum in the Revolutionary War paintings. Like it just looked like I injured myself. Everyone had like these perfect like Apu from The Simpsons turbans. I was like, how the fuck how do you know how to do that?
You look wounded before you even started being hunted.
Yeah. It was pretty pathetic. And they hand us all these.
How do you think a bunch of elderly white folks in Fallon, Nevada, managed to know how to put a turban on so swimmingly?
I'm still wondering about that. I didn't know how to tie a turban, and I found out really soon I didn't know how to like load bullets into a gun.
What?
And everyone else knew how to do that. They handed out AK-47s that had been modified so they could only shoot blanks. And these blanks, like they're like they look like normal bullets, but they have some like little plastic cap on the end.
Okay.
I don't know how they work, and they just set off like a little gunpowder explosion, and the casing flies out, but there's no bullet in there. It's just gunpowder that goes. It's loud as shit, and the casing flies out.
Okay.
And,
so you show up. You say, well, okay, it's going to be a military ops thing. You're going to play the combatants, and here's some fabric. Make yourself a turban. And then were you still wearing like your Led Zeppelin T-shirt and khakis, or did they give you some? Did they give up your Americanism?
Yeah, we had they put like gowns on us. So imagine like an old nightgown that goes like shoulder to floor length.
Yeah,
it's just like through the whole thing. They put us in those, which like I don't think Afghanistan people all wear. Like I think in the 80s they dress like that. So
well, Afghanis wear turbans. That's more, that's a Sikh thing. Some Afghani tribesmen do. Certain Arabic, like tribal Bedouins and stuff. I think some of them did. They're different varieties. I guess it wasn't 100% authenticity. They just had to get the feel for it.
I usually see them just wearing something like this. When you see Afghanistan people in the news, it's like this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. They I think part of it was they were fucking with us. I think that was like 50% of it. We they said like, you guys all know how to fire a gun, right? And my hand starts going up, and I look around and like everyone has their hand down, like men, women, old, young. They're like, of course we know how to fucking fire a gun.
It's Nevada.
Like, once in a while, we have a couple of the ladies who haven't fired a lot of guns, and they're like, yeah, we have. And so I'm like,
yeah, got it.
I've never.
You did the old neck grab and scratch.
Yeah. Yeah. So like smash cut to later that day, like I'm firing my weapon, from a crouch stance at some Humvee, and like I've got the gun on the wrong side of my body because I'm left-handed, and the casing just ejects and goes and like burns like by my eye. I was like holding a cold Pabst to it later that night. Learned that lesson.
You didn't yell out medic?
No. They did have us yell a lot. They're like, when the Marines go by, yell a bunch of Muslim shit. No. And we're like, And so like it was a lot of like Team Hunger or Team America World Force, like the Durka 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 Bali Bali.
Did you ever do the
Yeah, there's a lot of that, a lot of ululating.
I find it ironic because you think many of the Fallon residents, it's a fairly conservative place. They probably have a lot of disdain for the Muslims. Them, Afghanis, the Afghans, whatever they call them, Afghan blanket.
Jihadis.
Yes. So especially then, tensions were high, but we had Iraq popping off, and Afghanistan was going full force. So I would imagine that were the people getting into it, the other high combatants?
Big time. There was a lot of geopolitical talk that made me think that people have different news sources than other than CNN and stuff. Like, where are you hearing this shit? They're like, to be super realistic, shouldn't we try to capture them and eat them and take their souls? Isn't that what they do? It's like, I don't know. And there's a lot of very earnest sounding, wouldn't the world be a better place if we just bombed that whole hemisphere? Wouldn't it be? That earnest racism.
First of all, blow up the whole continent. Well, Afghanistan's one country out of 30 on the Asian continent. The people make broad strokes. They don't.
If they didn't want to hear a lot of nuance.
If you pull out a map, you say, "Okay, anyone tell me where Afghanistan is?" It would have been pointing at Rhode Island, Barbados, maybe Morocco. How long was the encounter? I mean, first of all, how long was the prep? So you get there, they're handing out guns, they're getting you dressed up. Was it military?
The prep was a couple hours. They got us dressed. They made sure we knew. They gave us a big barrel of ammunition, and we loaded up these magazines because there's 30 in each one. And they go pretty fast because you're walking around you can't hold a gun and not just pull the trigger all the time. I think that's one of the reasons that people end up shooting themselves.
Will that be your defense if you become a homicidal maniac?
I was what? Somebody gave me a gun. What am I going to do? Not shoot stuff?
The trigger's there
we'd be driving along the road and people would point their guns out and just choo, 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 choo. I think most of the reason people like guns is they like loud things. Basically, I don't know. The bang seems to be 90% of the thrill.
I've been to a gun range maybe a dozen times in my life. Never been to a gun range where people are firing away with the silencer. No one's getting off on that, Unless maybe a hearing impaired person. Do they just, they don't care because they don't get that. Maybe they get the percussion through their body.
My ears rang for a month after that gig too.
You had about 30 magazines or 30 clips?
30 bullets in a magazine, and we each had 4 or 5 magazines that we had tucked in our ammo vest. So you get through with one and you take it out and just put the next one in, and you get to do that super satisfying.
Oh, man. Now,
movies
did they confiscate your cell phones? I'm guessing they probably didn't want. That was kind of pre-high-end.
Yeah.
Was anyone trying to film or take pictures? Did they put a stop to that?
This was no one had smartphones. Not in my little town where I live. Not in 2005.
They were using around. What was that phone they were using around? Everyone had around 2006. I believe you still have one in your possession.
Yeah. It's like this.
But remember that phones, you could take a picture though, right? But it would be
mine does not take a picture.
Dude, I had that flip phone, and I was at the naval base in Guam, and they said don't take any pictures. So when we go on the nuclear sub, so of course I'm in the bathroom, I'm taking my phone out so I can come out, sneak out and take a quick picture. I was kind of too nervous. I couldn't maneuver it, but so no, they didn't have to worry about any recording. Now it would be almost impossible. You'd have to confiscate people's phones. How many people were involved in the operation besides you?
It was 20 temps. It was a lot. And about 20 guys who worked full time for this contractor. they're out of Florida, and they just go around the country putting on these like training exercises.
Wait,
and they hire like,
so they were like
what's that?
They were like commingled with you guys?
Yeah,
How do we get
they were
pictures?
dressed up too.
Wow.
They were all ex-military.
Yeah, so you're not gonna take yokels like us.
Yeah, well, and they were all super into military. Everything was like, yeah, we're Golf Tango Golf. That means GTG. That means good to go. And I was like, you didn't save any time with the Golf Tango Golf thing. Everything was like using call sign lingo.
Dude,
what's your 20?
The Taliban's not going that route anyway. Okay, they've got a whole different alphabet, much less nomenclature.
Yeah. If we would have walked into a Taliban bar, the record would have skipped. Like they would have noticed we were different.
Did the contractor Taliban treat the temp Taliban as inferiors? Did they kind of like?
Yeah. We always had to play dead bodies when it came time for that, because they're like, okay, you're going to be dead body number 3, and dead body number 2 is going to be strapped with an improvised bomb, and they're going to find in it. So if they flip you over, you yell bang really loud, and that means that Marine died, and he's going to get a talking to, because they're supposed to assume that every rock, every road, every body might be a bomb, which I apparently is the case over there.
At that time, sure.
Yeah, so the bomb thing came up a lot. They hired this Hollywood special effects guy who'd worked on real movies like Saving Private Ryan. You know, when they storm the beach and you just see pish, 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 these when the mortars hit the beach that they're storming, just see clouds of dirt flying up.
So
he was one of the guys who did that.
You're on a set with Spielberg proteges training the U.S. military, and you're just making $15 an hour, having a good time. Were you? Wow, man, did you get to interact with anybody?
Yeah, we had to. Because sometimes you wouldn't always be like the bad guys. Sometimes you're just townspeople. So that was part of it. They're like, sometimes you're going to be driving around and there's just going to be a dude who's selling loaves of bread, and there's just going to be kids playing and shit. So they'd stop and they'd question you what are you doing? Why are you here? And you'd be like, I'm just a dirt farmer or whatever. I'm a teacher or
Were you allowed to improvise, or did you have a script?
Yeah. Oh yeah, lots of improv, lots of yes and.
What were some of your interactions? What were some of you? What did you get to improvise? Do you remember any of your lines, you pulled on the when you got quite interrogated or anything?
They'd give you a loose thing. They'd be like, "You're a teacher, and you hate America, and you have you're not armed or anything. You're just gonna yell at them a lot. So you'd be like, death to America and stuff. It wouldn't have passed me in a groundlings course. It was pretty bad. Or they'd be like, and you had your kid blown up by an American bomb, and you're gonna go up there and register a complaint with those Marines. You're going to talk to them about it. They'd give you scenarios like that.
So how many scenarios would they run through in a day?
They do 4 or 5 back to back, and you just go around in the desert, and you'd be in the mountains for scenario number 1, and you'd pop out from behind a bush and start shooting. That would be one. And then another one would be the special effects guy would set a freaking huge explosion, and that would cause the convoy to stop. And so they'd be all lined up in a ravine with nowhere to go, and then you jump out and ambush them. That would be number 2.
Okay.
Number 3, you'd just be on a road, and they'd be driving by, and they'd have to figure out if you had ill intention, whatever. And then at night, that's when it got really fun because that's when all the like.
How many hours
What?
were you out? How many hours were you out there on site?
12 to 15 hours a day.
Were you getting overtime? 8 hours? Was there labor law?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was awesome. And a lot of it was just sitting around like bullshitting. Just talking to my fellow Taliban people. They at night they would do the helicopter shit, and that was weird because the people flying the helicopters have night vision. Apparently, like that's one of America's like big military advantages is like they do everything at night, and like you wouldn't hear a helicopter until it was like next to you, and like they'd be like fake pointing guns at you and like shooting you, killing you, or
How did
and
you
they
know
have
in a scenario? How did you know when you were dead? Did someone yell out? Did you have a number and stuff
someone
like that?
literally yelled out, "You're all dead. Lie down."
Okay.
So there was a lot of lying down in the dirt. There was like a lot, and like
unless you're a contractor, then you weren't lying down in the dirt.
Yeah, then you're fine. You're just sitting in the truck like having a cigarette. But if you're me, like you're being once in a while, like a Marine would come by and like check your body, and he'd like find shit in your pocket. Like he'd go through your pockets while you're lying there. Like take out, like I have like a pack of menthols. He'd like take it out and throw it.
Well, you take a cigarette out and then throw the rest on top of you. And
yeah.
You use your boot to light a cigarette.
Those guys, they took it really seriously. The Marine dudes, like they were never like, blah blah blah.
They're training to go freaking not get shot.
Yeah.
Now, how about you guys?
They're a serious bunch. What?
Were you guys taking it seriously, or was it kind of jesty?
Everyone took it pretty seriously, like because the contractor dudes were so serious and like regimented and military about everything. People are good about like following the leader, like the boss is like fucking around, you're fucking around kind of deal.
I would have thought you would have kind of had the little surreptitious rebellion to kind of like, these guys are kind of out of hand, aren't they? Let's go do this. Did you mix it up?
Yeah, normally, but for $15 bought a lot of loyalty from me in 2006. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was flip phone money back then.
Yeah, no shit. Oh, what else they did is they brought us to this fake town out in the desert, this like Potemkin village. It's crazy. Outside of Fallon, there's a town with streets and buildings and like signs and houses that they use for like urban warfare. And so you just drive around in a rented like F-150, and I'd be like, what are we doing here? And they'd be like, hey, look up. What?
Let me ask, the Taliban, they didn't give you guys Toyota Highlander pickups? The white ones that they all drive?
Oh, those Highlanders, by the way, I drive a similar one. Like they all have the Hiluxes. Like 900 million miles on it. And and the Tacomas, those things won't die. Like you could bury those underneath, a sand mountain.
You can hate the Taliban.
They won't die.
I say you can hate the Taliban, you can hate ISIS. We shouldn't have any respect for terrorists, but you got to give them credit for being very good at selecting their warfare vehicles. They're really good at.
No shit. You see them on the news, like just 30 Toyota pickup trucks. I drive a Toyota Tacoma. It's got 300,000 miles, and if it ever snows here again, I'm a dead man because like it's like rear wheel drive and just no traction at all. But but it'll never die. What's that?
You throw sandbags in the pickup bed, weigh it down.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I should have thought of that actually. Dang, you probably just saved my life.
Yeah.
Like
how many years
50 pound like kitty litter?
You survive, no sandbags in your vehicle, and getting fake shot at by Marines. So
a year ago, when it snowed and like turned to black ice, I was on I-80 and got on the got off the ramp, pulling right onto I-80, and flipped all the way around, slid. So I'm facing oncoming traffic.
Oh,
It was, God, I was just not literally pissing my pants, but I would have if I hadn't have just gone at the house. It was scary as shit. I was like, okay, do this calmly, because if I spin out, I'm dead. Just very slowly, because it's hard not to just jam on the gas when you're trying to not die.
and then you want to whip it out of the
Yeah.
spin. That's the second worst thing to do besides jamming on the brakes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Way worse, because I'll be like sideways across 2 lanes if I do that. And I did 2 sets that night later on.
Did you talk about it on stage?
Yeah, I was like, my life flashed before my eyes, and I thought, I regret every time I've ever worn a condom. Like, I'm gonna die right now, and it won't matter. Like, I should have done more drugs.
You'll leave no problem. Yeah, I didn't even have a kid. I was sober when I died. Yeah, see, yeah. So your life flashing was just like a series of regrets for not behaving more outrageously. Not like,
ironically,
I shouldn't have done this or that. I should have done more of this and that.
Yeah, so, I can't believe I went through all of grad school sober. Like, that's like I should have gotten in more fights. Like, I've never been punched in the face.
Well,
you think about a lot of stuff.
Marine would have done it if they could have got away with it, but I don't think that was allowed in training.
Those guys are huge, by the way.
Did they rough you up at all?
No.
No play roughing up?
That would have been like roughing up like a poodle. Like, those dudes they're jacked. They're not messing around.
No such thing as an out of shape Marine, active duty Marine. It just
I guess not. Like, where's the guy with the paunch that like with the beer gut that like yells at other people like drop and give me 20? Like, does that dude even exist?
Dude, they exist in the Iraqi army. When we were in Iraq, that was in 2008.
That's right, you went there, yeah.
You'd see like some of the officers, they'd have the big gut, and the belt, the stomach was kind of slung over the belt, but they'd always have their chest out, but their stomach would be out even more. I was like, it reminded me of my Mexican uncle with his beer belly,
just barrel shaped.
Yeah, barrel shaped, but they, they still carry themselves, so there were probably some badasses in the day, but they just,
Does the mustache size kind of correlate with status over
maybe
there?
Rank, like the longer the mustache, like Saddam was like, Wile E. Coyote, or what's in that Wile E. Snidely Whiplash? Yeah. The thicker the mustache, the higher the ranking. Did you get fake mustaches for the fake Taliban?
People grow out beards, yeah. We committed.
Warning did you have in preparation for the Taliban for hire?
How much preparation did I do?
No, I mean, how many? Like you said, people grow beards. It's not like they called you on Tuesday and the guy had a beard on Thursday. I mean, was it like a 2-3 week lag time from when you got hired?
It was a few days, but the gig lasted several weeks, so that there was time to grow a little.
How much money do you think the Department of Defense threw your way through manpower for 2 weeks of work?
Through my way, like $1,000, but I'm sure they threw the contractors like millions.
Oh, dude,
they got a lot of money.
That was another thing. We did a tour and I went for the Sam Short Entertainment out of Texas, and we all made like $1,500, which isn't bad. Without $1,200, it wasn't great money. It wasn't bad money, but we were there to entertain troops. And then they flew us, of course, out to the Middle East. And then the next time, my friend Chris Curtis, he's like a super aggressive, asks a lot of questions. He found out they were paying like the tour was, they were billing the Department of Defense like $25,000.
Jesus.
But they were sending 3 of us out there at a time for like maybe $9,000 with flights and accommodations. And yeah, that's a problem. People all want smaller government, but as soon as the government's giving away money, they're just jacking them for as much as they can get out of them.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of competition in that market. Like no one's looking over your back, I think, to say like, hey, did you get the cheapest screwdriver and ratchet set? Did you just, You know, you hear about like the $500 toilets and stuff.
Right.
$500 for a toilet.
Did you see evidence of like that, just that abuse and waste when you're out there during that 2 weeks? Just like I'm just squandering money on frivolous shit.
Not on frivolous stuff, but I'll tell you what they spent a lot of money on was this gigantic 50 caliber gun that they mounted in the back of one of these trucks.
That was for the fake Taliban, or that was for the real Marines?
Yeah, that was for us. That was on our team. So someone would be driving around. One truck was always the gun truck.
Who was driving? Contractors? Who was driving, the contractors or the townspeople? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They weren't giving you guys like
no.
Yeah. Okay. That would have been fun.
Probably because of insurance, they're like, you're not allowed to like look at this shit. Like the bullets on the 50 caliber gun are like, well, shoot, I can't really. They're huge.
Yeah, like 4, 5, 6 inches, aren't they?
Yeah. And it was full auto, so like they'd be like, fire in the hole, like put your ear things in because you're about to go deaf when if you're near that thing. It's so loud, it's just and the whole truck is shaking from this thing. It's loud as shit. And so the Navy got in on this too. They're like, hey, as long as you're running a bunch of townspeople around in the desert, like we'll get in on this too. So it's a naval air base, like I mentioned. They would fly jets over us.
They'd
be like, yeah, they'd like target us, and they'd be like, they'd radio down and they'd say, okay, we just killed everyone. And they'd be like, you're dead, lay down, you just got bombed. And they'd be like, hey, look up, and you'd see these blinking dots in the sky. They're like, that's like a F-18 looking right at you.
So every day it was going to be some new surprise, pretty much.
Yeah. You would like ambush a helicopter that was landing. They'd be like, okay, we're going to be around the LZ, and when the helicopter lands, you light it up. They love to say that, light it up. Some people would have like fake hand grenades that they'd like.
Did you get any fake?
Have to go find the fake hand grenade because fake hand grenades don't grow on trees. What?
Did you ever get a fake hand grenade or get to shoot the 50 caliber?
No. It's I wanted to. I really did, because you get into it. Also, one thing I realized in movies, like they always like are chambering around right before they shoot someone. Like you always hear that, and what I realized is like the round has been chambered before anyone ever like leaves their house, because people can't stop themselves from like doing that chambering.
Yeah,
that it's very satisfying. But they always have to, in movies, they always have to make that sound. That
yeah.
And I realized you can't do it more than once, because if you try to like chamber around again, like the bullet that's in there falls out, and you look like a moron.
Maybe that's why people like war movies and horror movies, because it's like, and then the horror movie's like,
yeah. It sets up the tension. You know what else sets up tension is like the sound of little kids singing, like "Ring Around the Rosie." You're like, oh shit, somebody's gonna.
Yeah, the creepy slide.
Yeah. It's like, I'm so sick of the kids singing slowly from the school next door. Someone else goes, that school burned down 10 years ago. Movie idea.
Yeah. The Taliban for Hire is a movie idea.
It was great. It was really fun. And,
did you bond with the townfolk Taliban?
Yeah. You know, I'm friendly. I ask a lot of questions. I get along with people.
You do. You'll walk into a place. I've been with you. You're strangers. You just talk to anyone, and you just
right. Yeah. Remember when we did karaoke in Oregon? We're like, let's go find somewhere. We found that tiki bar, and then we signed up for a bunch of songs. Yeah, we had fans. It was awesome.
Yeah. Jim Fleming is one of the best guys to go on the road with because he's just
thanks.
knows how to have fun. Now
we probably I probably made up better bits like in the car than like for my actual act.
I'd say you're probably one of the top 50 comedians in the country for car comedy. We're just road serious.
Top 50, I'll take that. That's like Bill Burr level.
Yeah, I mean, this is like we just start doing podcasts from the car.
Oh man, yeah, we should do that.
We'll have to do the Montana Run podcast. Yeah, limited edition.
Yeah, we got some land up there, and
you went from living at your parents' house in Fallon to being a land baron with like multiple acres in Montana.
Yeah, slowly but surely. What's that?
Was the Taliban money invested wisely?
Yeah, I invested in Afghanistan oil futures, and so funding the insurgency was to drive down the price of land. And
I hear there's a good return on Mujahideen heroin over there. They do a pretty penny. It's a lot of this all this political strife and a lot of the cultural. A lot of it's fueled by heroin money.
It's narco. It's a narco state. Like they're one industry town over there.
Yes.
Like they make heroin, and like their next biggest export is probably like woven rugs or some shit.
Yeah, and then maybe. But Afghanistan's also sitting on trillions in like untapped mineral reserves, evidently. Like all those mountains are just chocked with stuff. But
so it really is it is the Nevada of that hemisphere.
Maybe there's something about the desert landscape that the trees, like millions of years ago, the trees decayed, and instead of dinosaurs, the rock reformed and it became a precious metal. Yeah,
you'll see fossilized wood out there in the desert. There are a lot of igneous metamorphic stuff, a lot of volcanic activity.
Yeah. So 2 weeks in the desert, multiple training scenarios. What was your favorite moment being Taliban for hire versus the U.S. Marines?
My favorite moment was it's where you ever hear about those psychological experiments where they make some people play the prisoners and some people play the guards.
Diversity study.
And the people who play the guards instantly become assholes like right away. I got to play a guard once. It's intoxicating, that feeling of being able to be a dick to somebody. And they were like, so this was one time when like the contractor had like a shittier job because like it involved like a slightly abusive situation. They're like, when these guys drive by, pretend that you're taking me as prisoner and act like you're shooting me in the head execution style, and then kick my dead body. I was like, are you fucking sure? He's like, yeah, chase me down. So he made me chase him, and I like shot at him. He's like, put it on full auto. So I'm like, brrr. And then like, he like knelt down, and he's like, now yell at me and shoot me in the head and kick my dead body. And I was like, I don't know, but you really get into executing people. You get into it.
Wow, that's got to be a pretty even if fake. It's like a huge feeling of power rush. Huh?
Yeah, it was a little gross.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like kind of fun, but then it was like, oh man, that got too real. And so they just wanted to do that and to see how these guys would react. And like they sat and watched that play out, and then they just like went off the road and drove like way around, and then just
they weren't this is an intertribal dispute. It had nothing to do with their mission. So that was the test.
Yeah. Basically, they're like, So they were doing a lot of decision making, like
Jim Fleming, mock murderer. Oh my goodness! I don't know if I can go car with you on the road.
Never again.
I'll never be able to look at you the same. You mock
Yeah,
shot
I
a guy.
think I'd rather be murdered, really.
Did you kick the guy kind of hard, or he just give him a light tap with the foot?
I kicked the ground right next to him really hard, and it kind of hurt my toe.
And he was a good actor. He played the punch.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you guys get any? Okay, so at the end of this 2 weeks, what a period, was there like a farewell party? Did the Marines come over and give you any like?
Yes. No, we didn't see the Marines, but they bought us some wings at Sandwinds, this local bar. They got us wings and fries.
Yeah, a Taliban wing party.
Yeah, it was cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
How was the food the rest of the time?
It was like I packed myself some like ham sandwiches every day. So it was fine. And I was a heavy smoker at the time.
Taliban,
You just
pork.
What?
You're supposed to be role playing. You're not supposed to be eating pork when you're playing the Taliban.
My character was a smoker too, so it worked out.
Well, they all smoke over there, so I was probably fine.
Yeah. And I hope they go to the bathroom outside because there was a lot of that.
Is that what they told you? If you got to go, just go find a spot?
Yeah, I felt bad for the women because like a third of the people were chicks and they just had to.
They didn't have a porta potty or anything for you guys?
No, we were a porta potty. The closest thing was like the cave we were talking about before. That's the closest we got.
Oh man, now I want to go see some Fallon caves. I want to go on the cave tour.
Yeah, I could take you. It's really close to the hieroglyphic where the hieroglyphics are, which is also close to the wetland reserve where there's a bunch of like egrets and ibises.
Okay.
Cool.
Not isises, ibises, yes.
Well, I think last time I saw you, we were doing a gig in Fallon, so it's realistic that you'd be out there again, and they love you every time you're there. I was just talking to the guy who organized that, and he just had a kid, but they want
ready
more.
Some more stuff when it comes back to normal?
He wants to do it before it goes back to normal. He wants to do another outdoor thing. So the limiting thing for him isn't like the rules or whatever. It's like when people want to hang out outdoors when it's warm enough.
Yes, you're right. This is not really outdoor Fallon lounging, night sky weather. Yeah.
That was a fun gig. It was like it was brief. It was like we were out of there by like 7 p.m. I think. Wait, and you had to go to LA.
I remember. Was that in May or June or?
June or July.
You think I'd remember? It's only one of the 5 live gigs I've ever done this year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I mean, you've performed in every orifice in America. Like, we'll be driving through like East Bumblefuck, Idaho, and you'd be like, I've performed in that funeral parlor. I opened up for the guy who played Putty on Seinfeld in that bowling alley. I headlined that laundromat.
This is going to be my.
It's like boom, boom. We were in Butte, Montana, and you're like, did that bar, did that pork chop sandwich? Remember, like we ate a pork chop sandwich and like we saw them boiled to like what?
The pasties.
Yeah, we had pasties. We saw memorial for like thousands of people who died in a mine.
Remember that the union bosses went and they had a thing also to the because they were striking and the strike breakers came in and busted heads literally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a union town, hardcore. Doing a show in Butte is like on my bucket list with that Blockbuster Video. Remember, that was the first thing that we had that got canceled. I think that was with you. Was that Blockbuster in Bend?
Yep.
We did Bend in December, and that was it. That was the last time I ever did a road gig. Aside from one or two things, was with you in Bend. And we were supposed to go back for the Blockbuster Video. I think maybe, yeah. Anyway, canceled.
A lot of things canceled, but as long as the Taliban, well, the Taliban kind of got canceled. They don't go away. They've been around for a long time. So now, after all this,
been at war. What?
For what, 1,000 years, 900 years?
Nonstop. Yeah, they call it the graveyard of empires. Russia was in there in the 80s, and they're like, fuck this. These guys are crazy.
That's back when Osama bin Laden was on our side. He was fighting with the Mujahideen.
Yeah, we kind of created him. Well, not kind of. We literally trained him, yeah. It's kind of fucked up. Wow. We kind of act like sociopaths once in a while. Today, for example. Yeah, like there are people like storming the Capitol as we're talking, I think.
Yeah, we're joking, clowning around about fake fighting, and there's real strife taking place in the seat of power in America. Dude, can you believe the times we're living through? It's unbelievable. We've seen the most technology. We've seen the most fucked up shit that humans do to other humans in war, and now we've seen this once in 1,000 year or once in 100 year epidemic, and today's history making.
We're 20 years into this century, and we've had 3 like earth-shaking, massive economic collapses. 3 of them. 2001 wasn't economic; it was the terrorism. It was 9/11, then the housing crisis, and then pandemic and worldwide return of fascism. Anyway.
Yeah. Craziness.
Sorry, I took the mood down a little bit there, but it's wild times.
So I'm trying to think if we wrap this up now. So if you're ever asked to, if you get the call from Uncle Sam through Manpower, will you again return to your position? And did you achieve any rank? Did you guys was there any organization like, hey, you kind of be in charge of these 3 guys, and you guys hang out?
I was promoted to cave cafeteria steward.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you bring the hot tea and more bullets then.
Yeah, clean out the turd pile in the back of the cave.
You ever notice that they're always drinking tea whenever they show up, like the U.S. Liaison, the captain comes to town. First thing, tea and like dates and pistachios.
It's very ritualized.
They always have a hot pot of tea ready to go. You guys didn't get any fake tea though.
No, we did do a lot of sitting on the ground, which I've seen them do a lot of.
Cross-legged Taliban style?
Yeah, tried to. Yeah.
Also, as a taxpayer, I'd feel very ripped off if you guys were just sitting normal.
Oh, the taxpayers got their money worth out of the Fallon temps. We put in the work.
When's the reunion? You're just gonna do
it. Every year on this date, we're gonna come back and
wings,
shoot guns into the air,
planks, and eat wings. Well, that was awesome, dude.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Oh, I've got an AK-47 at home." I'm like, "Is that legal?" I don't
know. They're like, "I got plenty of guns. I don't have any blanks, but I got plenty of guns and bullets."
Yeah, there's a lot of gun talk. Yeah, I learned a lot. Learned about myself. Learned about guns.
Nevada, we are a gun state. So when you're ready to go shoot, I just got a little Smith & Wesson MP 380, I guess. So if you want to go shooting,
you have a hot tub to defend. I'll go shoot. You got to tell me how to like hit a target and shit. Give me a safety lesson first, so I don't burn my eye.
I'm a Division I college rifle team member, dude. I'm a college athlete. Yeah.
No shit. I didn't know that.
It was all accidental. I'd shot a gun maybe once, and then the college, you have to maintain so many teams for Division I status.
Yeah.
And they were one team, so the cheapest team to assemble was a rifle team. So they got the ROTC Gunny Sergeant Barone, and he set it up. So I went to like 2 practices. Then I was on a plane flying to Spokane, to San Francisco one weekend. We did a match.
Wow.
Yeah, and then like 2 weeks later, we did another match, and then we went to the regional finals.
So you were on a travel squad. You were like a actual jock.
We were at the Western Regionals because there wasn't that many teams. It was a farce.
Oh, that's cool. My team made nationals. My ultimate frisbee team.
Really?
Yep.
Do you play at Sun Valley Regional? We were just up there.
Oh, once or twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Dude, you got to be in shape to do that place. There's just like hills and
there's a lot of hills. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not what you call verdant.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll go shooting, and then we'll do that, and then the next time we get together, I have extra frisbees. We'll go frisbee golf it up at Rancho San Rafael, right?
Yeah, normal. Oh, I'm gonna get all the stuff off my bucket list. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's stuff you can do and not be around a bunch of people getting sick.
Well, yeah. Thank you for jumping on. That was a great experience, and thank you for
a quick hour.
Thank you for your service. Yeah, we've been on almost an hour. Yeah, it's because when I interview Jim Fleming, time just flies by.
It does go fast. Those road trips, we'll cover 12 hours. Like we'll be like a little bighorn, and it seems like almost no time has passed. Yeah, always fun.
Casino or an Elko. Yeah. Well, thanks for me, Jim, and
thank you.
Be sure and spread the word. And people, some people I don't know about that we even have these. There's so many little programs like Department of Defense and government agencies that people have no idea. So glad it worked out well. You didn't get injured. You made some lasting friends, some memories, and you helped hopefully prepare some Marines to be ready, and they made it back safely from Afghanistan. Because
I hope so.
I don't know. That's a tough gig. I've watched some of the Outpost Restrepo on Nat Geo and some other things.
Yeah.
And just the place I went to in Iraq, where it's very similar to Afghanistan. So yeah,
it looks like a confusing and weird place to be.
Yeah, it's kind of like Tonopah or Fallon, all different places, but same scenarios. But yeah, thanks for joining, and thank you guys for jumping in here. Episode 18. How does that happen? I'm Mark Yaffe. He's been Jim Fleming, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on, or listen for us next time on How Does It Happen, however you catch us on streaming or audio only. Thanks for supporting. See ya.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, hang on here. End broadcast.